There you see Brodie Spurlock taking on Cody Williams. Both these players with notable finishes under their belts. As we mentioned, Cody Williams still really searching for that breakthrough finish, but there's no question among the best flesh and blood players in the country.
Really known for his Runeblade play.
Yeah.
Early, like one of the better players putting up consistent results with Chain.
Yeah, Chain Master back in the day, and has since moved on to new heroes and proven himself to be just a good flesh and blood player.
Not by choice, by the way. I'm pretty sure if he still could, he'd be playing Chain.
I think that's accurate. Chain, of course, ascending to Living Legend, no longer legal in the classic constructed format.
Cody having a hand in that as well.
Absolutely. Looks like Brodie just going to go ahead and do a little arsenaling on turn one, passing the turn back to Cody Williams. Doesn't want to give Cody the chance to do any pitching to get value out of that Helios Miter, saying if you want to make Ash early, you're going to have to go ahead and use it on nothing.
Yeah. Speaking of Ash, Ash first created here on turn one.
Yeah, Sweeping Blow going to come through, make a little Ash.
For Cody Williams. A card that, I got to say, has been rising in my assessment here of this format more and more as I go. While, you and I talked about this when we first started, both of you and I were both like, rake the Empress, right? Yep. That's the card. And then that one's slowly come down a little bit, and this is one of the ones that's been kind of taking that lion's share away from Rake the Empress, a card I just love. And this is a brothers in arms behind this card that you and I have talked about all weekend. I'm pretty happy to be very high picking this card in draft as well.
Yeah, I mean, in draft, I think in constructed, the blue one is the one that's going to shine. But in draft, these stats
you want the red one,
they're completely acceptable. Yeah, you're very happy to be making this attack. And this is one of the ways I think Dromai has evolved to become actually a better deck, is to just do more attacking, present more damage. A lot of the early Dromais very much focus on controlling the game, playing a slow pace, slowly building up Ash Wings. Fi just makes that very unlikely. And you can get away with that against Icelander. But when Fi is the most drafted hero, you're going to have to beat a bunch of Fis to win the pod. I think you always should be slanting aggressively.
And I think you just put this whole draft format in a microcosm very well, and that's exactly what I think you have to do. I think the way that you want to play your Dromai decks is you want to go really tall against Fi because it's hard for them to block. And then against Icelander, if you can get any amount of Aether Ashwings to sit on the board, I think we saw Cody, have 5 multiple times. He got him swept up quite a bit, but when you're making 5 of them over and over again, it's hard for the Icelander to keep up because at that point, you don't really have to commit cards to the board that much anymore. You just attack with your Aether Ashwings if you can give them go again on your turns, and then you can just leave up so many resources in your hand for Arcane Barrier that the Icelander actually just can't do anything. I've been locked out multiple times by Dromai players.
I mean, don't get it wrong. If given the choice against Icelander, I would focus my entire game plan on Aether Ashwings, but you just need to be able to account for all the heroes in the metagame, and I think that's why we've seen more of a move towards the Senapai-based game plan.
Brodie Spurlock down to 11 here. Cody's still at a comfortable 20, but this is going to be starting off this looks to be starting off a very good turn for Brodie here. This is going to be a 0 attacks with go again.
Yeah, love to fire off Ronin Renegade to start the turn, and we talk about it over and over. If you're there accepting damage, you probably got a good clapback coming back.
He's going to block out here. It's going to be attack with the weapon. Another block out from Cody. Looks like it's going to be a very defensive turn from him.
Yeah, that tells me probably not a whole lot going on the offensive side when it comes to his hand. Going to go ahead and make a sand cover.
It's going to be followed up by the Phoenix Flame. The first damage finally through for Cody. To Cody here, down to 19.
Yeah, time for that sash going to be cashed in, and we have a breaking point fired off here.
And this is a card that I think doesn't get enough love in this format. It's a card that, look, I'm not high-picking this card by any means, but I see a lot of people talk about that this card's unplayable, and I've got to disagree. I've seen it do some pretty impressive stuff, especially against Dromai, where you can go wide and pick off some Aether Ashwings or pick off some dragons with it as well. So Cody down to 14 there after a ton of blocks. It looks like he's going to be deploying a dragon here. So you can get a glimpse of which one this one is.
I believe we're looking at an Asvali right now.
I think you're correct. Brodie thinking about how he wants to play this. Man, these dragons are so hard to deal with when they have actual defensive value on them.
Yeah, Asvali, of course, the Mirror Breaker. That's the one that just absolutely destroys opposing Dromai. But any dragon is a good dragon. They're all good dragons, Tannen.
Are they?
They are.
Okay. I believe you. I've watched that show enough. They all seem to be pretty good boys and girls when it comes down to it.
Right. You know me, a big animal lover. That extends to mythical animals.
Yeah, same.
Brodie looking through defensive options here.
Yeah, I've watched Brodie play quite a lot. He can have these turns. He plays the game a lot like I do, where he'll play very fast for most of his turns, and then he'll have the one turn where he's a little more deliberate, because this is the hard one, right? He's got to make a lot of decisions here, and he's not just thinking about, am I blocking this dragon here? He's thinking about, am I blocking this? What happens behind this? And then what's my turn look like?
Right.
Because I want to be presenting some damage to Cody, but I also want to be dealing with this dragon here, because you can't just ignore this card. It's going to do too much damage to you. It's going to be too free for Cody Williams. So that's what he's got to figure out here. It looks like Brodie's going to be able to take this, go down to 8. And is this going to be the turn for Cody Williams? It looks like it is. So Brodie just trying to contemplate, do I need to soak up some of the damage here? You can see why he had Oasis Respite in his hand. Looks like this is going to be an attack. This is going to be going at Cody, it seems like.
Yeah, letting that dragon go for the time being. It's interesting to decide where you're going to attack a Dromai. Do you want to challenge the dragons? Do you want to go after life totals? That's why Dromai is so challenging to play against. And part of the reason why this format is just so skill testing, there's a lot of decisions to be made all the time.
Oh, 100%. This is a Rising Anger. Decent little on hit as well. And we mentioned this when we were covering Brodie 2 rounds ago. I'm sorry, this is a Soaring Strike. My bad. I was mentioning this when I was talking to Brodie in between rounds after we covered it. I was like, Brodie, you got to get your dice on your attacks for us, buddy. And after this, I'm going to go up to him and be like, look, man, I've got some homework for you.
Yeah. As we mentioned, Brodie's one flaw, not good at putting the attack dice out there.
We love you, Brodie. It looks like this is going to be the Ember Blade going after the dragons. Very clean way to kill that.
Yeah, makes sense. Lines up perfectly in terms of damage dealt.
Looks like an activation of the Phi ability here. It's going to bring in Phoenix Flame. That's going to attack Cody. Cody's still at a pretty healthy 14 with Brodie down to 8 here.
Yeah, I think so. But at the same time, Cody also, the way the Dromai deck works is it needs to generate arena presence. And there's nothing in the arena for Cody yet. There's no wide battlefield with Ashwings. There's no dragons. I mean, obviously there was going into this turn, but Asvalai has been cleaned up by the Syrian Ember Blade. So I agree Cody has done a good job defensively, but one of the things that is challenging for Dromai in the Phi matchup is you have to do both. You have to simultaneously protect your life total while you start to generate that arena presence, and that's tough. It's a high, high ask.
You got to find a Dromai that can do both, exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, to be fair, too, we talked about this, Cody is at a pretty high life total from Brodie, but in the games that we've watched of Brodie so far, his deck can be quite explosive. He's got a lot of rupture cards in his deck.
I think most Phis have that under their wing.
So, I mean, him presenting 20 damage in a turn or well over 13 in one turn is not too much to ask from this deck if he gets to have a 4 or 5 card hand going into a turn.
I think you're right. And we see a Sigil of Protection here from Brodie. That's an interesting add. I suspect either Brodie is short on playables or this is a sideboard adaptation, but it is a high variance card against Cody Williams. It can potentially soak up a lot of damage from something like a Centipede. However, if you have Ether Ashwings, this is not the card you want in the arena.
Yeah, thankfully no Ether Ashwings on Cody's side. So this is going to kind of put up a full stop here for Cody Williams. Like, he can attack, but, you know, he's going to have to attack multiple times or with a high attack value to get anything through here this turn. And then Brodie can kind of shrug off most of this. Is this a good play for Brodie in the fact that this is kind of ensuring a 5-card hand for next turn?
It depends. It depends what Cody does. And here we see a Rake the Embers, which is exactly what Cody needed to do here. That will allow that Sigil to be cleaned up very easily, assuming there is a red to be played as well. That was a blue Rake the Embers. So is going to have to find a way to give that either Ashwing a go again. But it looks like no. It looks like the play is just going to be go ahead and attack Brodie here. Oh, we do have go again. Okay. Maybe misreading the color stripe there. It does look like there are 2 resources floating. So that was red Rake the Embers. However, not enough ash to generate more than 1 Aether Ashwing. So just making the 1.
Brodie confirming something here.
Yeah, I think he's checking if I use this Helios Miter to go ahead and prevent this Aether Ashwing, will the Sigil still pop?
Yeah, I think that's what I definitely think you're correct here. I was kind of wondering this myself.
My answer is no. And you want to know what that's based on, Tannen?
What's that?
My heart. I just listen to my heart sometimes. It hasn't really done me all that wrong, besides the things I, routinely get wrong on a day-to-day basis. But other than that, no consequences. So I'm just going to say, if you were to use your Helios Miter on this damage, it may not trigger that Sigil.
Yeah, there's going to be a little slight pause here. It sounds like Brodie's asked for the Oracle text of a card here. Wants to make sure that he gets the full text of a card. He's asking one of the judges to get that for him. So there's going to be just a little bit of a break at the play here.
Yeah, we're just working out the situation. How is this sigil going to interact if the Helios Miter is used to stop this Ether Ashwing?
And you know what? If you're ever in this situation at home, this is a good learning experience for everybody. If you're ever in a situation like this, A, the judges are there to help you.
Yep.
Don't be afraid to ask for some help. B, it's good to get clarification on these kind of things. You know why? Because you learn.
Always. Yeah. And from this point, I will know how this interaction works. This is how you learn. You go through these processes. You figure out how these cards interact with each other.
What's the thing that Flake always says? If you're learning, you're not losing.
A is the thing.
Oh yeah,
Flake
Canadian. Yeah, a Canada joke. Yeah.
I've actually never heard him say A. I don't know why I do that to Flake. I love
he only
Flake
gets
so
it.
much.
You know what? He actually doesn't have too much of the stuff come out too often, but every now and then, like when he says about, he gets the boot. Yeah, like it comes out every now and then.
I love my Canadian friends. I used to do podcasts with a bunch of content creators up in Canada, and every now and then they'd just drop a wild A into the podcast, and I would just go over the moon. One of my favorite occurrences.
One of my main friends that I talk to a lot on Discord and stuff. He actually lives here in America, but he's Australian, and he'll do the same thing. He'll say something, and I'm like, I don't know what that word means. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, I've learned plenty of new words since I've been speaking with my friends in New Zealand quite often now.
I was going to say very, very, very common, very similar in a lot of ways. But don't tell them I said that though.
Yeah, they do not like that.
A lot of the same similar like sayings and stuff and mannerisms.
Those New Zealanders very proud of their country, as they should be. Beautiful,
as they should be.
Beautiful place.
I'm very jealous that you got to go recently. I've been waiting for my chance to go. If you hear me, James, I'd love to come visit.
I will tell you, it was a beautiful time. However, the flight is it's something. It's something. It took me 40 hours approximately to get back.
Can you sleep on a plane?
I can now. I was never able to for years and years, and just somewhere I had flown so much that I got used to it, and now I can sleep on a plane. I did sleep a lot as part of the flight, but with 40 hours, you can't sleep through all of it, and a lot of it was in airports. I was detained by the customs in Fiji because I brought honey into Fiji.
Oh, I forgot about your smuggling operation.
Unbeknownst to me, that's not allowed. So I paid a hefty fine of, I believe, 400 Fijian dollars.
I don't know the conversion rate of Fijian dollars.
It was about $200. But
all I know is I like their water.
Yeah, that is true. But when they said it to me, they're like, "You have honey in your bag," and I said, "Yes, I do."
Yes, I do.
They said, "You can't do that," and I said, "I didn't know that." And they said, "You owe us a bunch of money." I said, "Okay, fair enough." I don't have a leg to stand on here. I didn't read my customs declaration very carefully. You are right that I have honey. Here's your Fijian dollars. Thank you for not.
Did you even get to, throwing me in jail, I'm assuming you didn't get to keep the honey.
No, I did not.
Did you ever get to taste the honey?
No, and I'm furious. It was a
beating.
It was a lovely gift from James and his family. And I was so excited to try it, and I just didn't get to.
I have gotten some chocolate from New Zealand, and I still haven't. I haven't got to. All right. So you might have seen the clock change a little bit here. The judges have issued a time extension for the players, and they've got their ruling, and it looks like the ward is going away.
Yeah, it looks like we did blow up the sigil. Now, I actually don't know if that's because Brodie chose not to activate the Helios Miter, or it just doesn't work. So I'm going to check in with the judges after this round and get some clarification there. But ultimately, we do know the result. Either Ashwing takes out that sigil, and now we're back on Brodie's turn, and we're starting off with the Brand Cinderclaw, of course. Natural go again.
Yeah, we just see a block from hand from Brodie there just to soak up a little bit of damage, keep his life totals kind of high, but it was a blue from his hand as well. So I wonder if this is a multiple blue hand from Brodie, or this is just an extra card that he doesn't really need for this turn. Giving +1 to an attacking card, not great. And if he's not going to, there's the second blue.
Yep.
Generally, when I see a 5 block with a blue, it either means their hand is really bad or they have the second blue and they're a little resource rich.
Makes sense to me, and we do see the Syrian Emberblade attack coming in for 3. Only that one Ashwing on Cody Williams' side, so haven't built up that arena presence quite yet. Looks like it's time for a little quelling. We're going to go ahead, use that quelling robe, prevent one of the damage from the Syrian Emberblade, only 2 getting through.
And I think that this is like the most intricate part of this format is when to quell and how to quell correctly. I found that the more I play with it, especially with how close a lot of the games are, we've seen this a lot of the weekend, some of these games coming down to 1-1 and 1-2. And, if you quell correctly, it can go really, really well for you. I mean, it's a skill in this format that I had to learn over time.
Yeah, it's a tough question, and I think Cody found a good spot for it here. It looks like another blue attack. So it was a triple blue hand from Brodie, and that can really derail your offense. Cody using the Quell. It looked like it only prevented 2. I think it also virtually prevented 3. There's no reason to bring back that Phoenix Flame.
Oh, it was brought back. It killed the Aether Ashwing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
The duty that it mostly does in this matchup.
Correct.
That's what they're there for. They're there to keep the board presence down of the Dromai player.
Sense.
Speaking of sigil protections,
Yeah,
we got one on Cody's
sigils.
side as well.
I think this is a blue one, so prevention shield not as large? Question mark? I say that with low confidence. It's right in that zone where it's really hard to read the color. What do you think, Tana?
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you there, but I'm not 100% sure. I do think maybe I see a pip missing, though.
Yeah,
I'm not going to try to say that I can actually see that.
We'll figure it out eventually. It'll either blow up, it'll prevent some amount of damage, then we'll know.
It's funny. My eyesight's actually pretty good, while the other stuff isn't as good, but I can't even tell from here.
It's tough with those pitch strips, for sure. Very small part of the card. We do our best, though. You know what helps, Brodie? Attack dice. Helps a lot, Brodie.
Hey, Cody's been a little
lax. Yeah, you too, Cody.
let's not only get the youngin.
Fair enough.
All right, Rodin Renegade starting the turn off for Brodie here. Very good starter out of the FAB decks. You know, one of the 0 attacks. I see a Brand of Cinderclaw in his hand as well. So this looks like this might be a pretty wide turn from Brodie, looking to really start to take the tempo in this game. Hopefully, you don't put me on the spot again.
No, if you want to hear Tannen's 9-page definition of tempo, you can go back and watch yesterday's cast.
Look, I made sure to have a thesis statement, supporting paragraphs, and then a conclusion, okay? I went to college. I know how to write a college paper. Not well, but I've done it enough times that I could at least do it.
Lava Vein Loyalty here for Brodie. Breaking out the dice.
Brodie.
There you go. Love to see it.
Let's go, buddy.
Unfortunately, what it reveals is Brodie has a heavy yellow hand now. So we just saw a heavy blue hand, now a heavy yellow hand. The ideal FAB deck doesn't play any yellows. Quite frankly, you're 22 reds, 8 blues is basically the breakdown I'm looking for.
I agree with you there. And if you're going to have to play some yellows, these are the ones I want to play.
Sure. You want the natural go again. That's fine. I think like the 4 power breakpoints can be acceptable as well. But there's just a little bit too much non-red stuff in this deck. And we mentioned a lot of FAB drafters, and I think this is the consequence of that. Lower damage output than you would expect at this stage of the game from Brodie. Just a heavy blue hand, now a hand with 2 yellows and a blue. So not getting the kind of damage output you would expect from FAB. Still finding a way to get wide, though. And if we are able to find rupture effects in these last few cards,
there might be here.
It could be enough. I mean, FAB's explosive damage output is so high.
Yeah. Well, it looks like I was going to say, I think we're getting rupture this turn, and let's see which one is this breaking point. You know, we've seen a few of these from him, maybe not. And I was going to say this, look, I agree with you. You want to only draw 1 blue in a hand. You don't want to draw blues and yellows or multiple blues in your FAB decks. You want to have that good mix of blues and reds so you can pay for the 1 card you need to pay for your Ember Blade, attack with all your other cards, maybe pay for FAB's ability.
Yep.
But if you're going to have yellows in your deck, you're going to have extra blues, you want them to be the ones like this, right? That you can pitch for resources when you need it, or they can attack for free and have go again. Because of the cards in Brodie's deck, like Breaking Point, these Rupture cards, you want to make sure that you're making those as good as possible, and you're giving yourself the best possible chance. And speaking of Breaking Point, here we go.
For another Breaking Point.
And this is a really, really impactful Breaking Point. Not only is this a 5-for-1, this Rupture is really threatening for Cody Williams. If he cannot block 5 here, he's going to lose a card.
Yeah.
Have you ever actually seen Breaking Point get a card before?
I have. It doesn't happen all that often.
It doesn't happen often, but the threat of it is huge.
Absolutely. And, you know, it takes away your options. In a lot of instances, you would maybe make a smaller block here. Going to use Sand Cover to go ahead and prevent this damage. So you may want to make a smaller block and then have a 2-card hand to clap back with. You can't do that anymore. No. You have to go ahead and invest all your cards into defense. And, you know, the distinction is subtle but extremely meaningful in terms of how the game is played.
Absolutely. And so that took all of the cards from Cody Williams. He does get to keep his arsenal here, but he's going to have no turn here and have to pass it back over to Brodie. Cody
Yeah,
down to 5.
At some point, Brodie's going to draw a hand that isn't blues and yellows. The damage output is going to go through the roof, and Cody's going to be in a lot of trouble.
Oh, no.
He's got a Phoenix Flame, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got a Phoenix Flame in his hand, Brian, here. That is not good for Cody on a turn where he needs to try to turn the corner and get his blocks. And this is a bad start for him with the Phoenix Flame, too. This is a brand of Cinderclaw.
As we mentioned, Dromai may be a little overdrafted. I don't know if Cody's choosing to play that Phoenix Flame or using it to fill in the last spots to avoid cracked baubles instead. So is able to get some defensive value out of that Phoenix Flame, pitching to Silken Form, doing a little quelling, and I think importantly so that it may still leave him very vulnerable, but he had to get some defense out of that Phoenix Form.
Yeah, 2 cards left in Cody's hand. We got 4 left in Brodie's.
Scary spot here from Cody.
I think I see a bunch of reds as well.
Here's a Lava Vein Loyalty.
And that's the scary thing, too. If you're getting attacked by Brodie's deck a bunch last turn, you see all the blues and yellows, that means he's probably going to have a red-heavy hand some point, and your light total is getting low. And if these are a lot of the zeros, it can be scary. I was going to say, I think I see a Lava Burst in this hand.
I think you're right. I think that is the last card. And a bunch of stuff able to get this combat chain very, very wide. And I am concerned for Cody Williams here. I do not know if he has what it takes to make it through this turn.
That might be the last card he sees in this game. You see another brand of Cinderclaw as well.
I see Brodie starting to speed up a little bit. I think the confidence is starting to set in. I think he knows this hand is apt to get the job done.
Looks like we might have, do we have a blue in our hand? That would be ideal. We do have a blue. That's perfect for Brodie here.
Yeah.
It's going to leave him with the resource left over.
Yeah, this is such a tough spot for Cody. Now that Phoenix Flame is going to come back, threaten damage, and we know what is going to clean up this chain, or at least we believe it's a Lava Burst, and that is damage output you are not prepared for if you're Cody Williams.
Yeah, he's down to 1 card, down to 1 life.
Still 2 cards in hand for Brodie as well.
Yeah,
are they both playable?
They are.
Brand with Cinderclaw. That gets the last card. No, it doesn't even. The Healing Bomb, and that's going to do it